What do you want to talk about?
Wrestling and beer.
Why?
It's wrestling.
It's wrestling.
Why? Why?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Why not? Why not?
It's fake.
Fake? What the hell are you talking about? Fake? It's not fake.
Fake.
Wrestling's not fake!
Okay, wrestling.
Hello, folks. I am Ronald Ray, your boy with a cornbread accent. Welcome you to Wrestling Gold Friday Night, where we talk about the good old days of professional wrestling, back when wrestling was wrestling and wrestling was real, because damn it, it is still real to us. How's everybody doing this evening? How's everybody Independence Day weekend? Hopefully everybody came through it unscathed, got all 10 fingers, 10 toes, didn't blow off their face or anybody else. I know one time I almost, okay, I guess it was my fault. It wasn't my fault the firework, I think it was Roman candles, fell over and shot at some, I won't say old, it was at the time my age now, so it kind of went right towards it, but he went out, he was unscathed. Probably should have wore his brown pants that day, but that's still unscathed. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and uh, I, if you're watching this, dude, I still don't have no money to sue for it, and pretty sure the statute of limitations is already gone. So good luck on that one. But anyway, like I say, yeah, hopefully everybody had Independence Day weekend. I had a nice, relaxing time, like I was talking about last night. Heck, I didn't even watch much wrestling, or I didn't watch any wrestling. I just watched TV shows and one or two movies. But there were old movies I've seen like 100 times, like Major League. Uh, Watched Major League again for the first time, probably like a couple of years. But anyway, so that was kind of my weekend, Independence Day weekend, is relax, regroup, and now after this week, I'm like, man, I need like a week long vacation now. I'm ready for that one. But anyway, hopefully everybody's doing good. Yes, I am alive and living color, so feel free to come join me in the chat, share some memories. If you have anything, give me your opinions on anything I talk about this evening. Like I said, memories as well, or just be friendly, say hello. That's always pretty cool as well. Let me know you're there. Let me know you're watching, because that's always fun. And like I said, this kind of the fun show. Just talk about, like I said, classic wrestling back in the 80s or 70s, 80s, 90s, and that's about it. I don't go beyond 1999. I can't remember what I had yesterday. I can't even remember half of what I seen 2 weeks ago. I had to I had to watch one of my old recap videos if I want to remember what happened on Raw 2 weeks ago. So anyway, we always start the show off too. It is Friday. It's that time of week, so we give a cheers to all the hardworking men and women who did the grind all week and who are doing the grind this weekend. Uh, it's time to have a toast to all those folks. So cheers. And for those of you working this weekend, hopefully you don't have to work too hard and everything goes smoothly. So cheers. Oh, that was cold. I left that I almost thought I was going to leave it in the freezer too long. Came close to it. I, I just like my beer like really, really cold. I don't know about anybody else. Beer has got to be cold. Well, everything I drink has to be cold. And I was talking about somebody about this recently, like bottled water. I don't know what it is. it just tastes better when it's in a cooler and had ice on it for a few hours. Um, if you just put a bottle of water in the refrigerator for a day or two, take it out, drink it. I don't know, just it's not the same to me. I guess I could be my weird taste buds, but anyway, um, talked about this a little bit last night, and it kind of suits tonight's show a little bit. Well, it doesn't never suits it. Never want to talk about somebody's passing, but yesterday got the news that Bonnie Tyler has passed away. If my math is right, she was 75 years old. Let me check the Google machine right quick. Let's see. I'm not sure if they announced the cause of death. Yeah, let's. Da, 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 da. So let's see. On May 6th, 2026, Tyler underwent emergency surgery in Portugal, where she lived, to treat a perfori- perforated intestine and was placed in an induced coma in intensive care unit. When doctors attempted to bring her out of the coma, she suffered cardiac arrest and was resuscitated. Her spokesman said she remained, or her spokesman says she remained seriously ill but stable, and that her doctors were optimistic about her making a full recovery. June 15th, Tyler woke up from the medically induced coma, although she remained very unwell, and she wound up passing away due to complications to her illness. And actually, she passed away on the 8th, not yesterday, but I found out yesterday. But yeah, so again, how's this tie up to wrestling in case you didn't watch last night? And I've definitely shared on this program. Uh, and if you want to like hear a long-winded history of how I started watching wrestling and stuff like that, I might have discussed it in the very first Wrestling Gold Friday night. I I want to say I did it on the very first Tales from the Territory recap I was doing. Either that or one of the uh, classic wrestling reminiscing. Probably one of the first ones I did it for that one. But I went into the history. But yeah, uh, again, I reiterate, um, growing up as a kid, as a wrestling fan living in Georgia, we were spoiled. So of course you had during like Saturday mornings, we had that rock and wrestling cartoon. I even watched that just because it had something to do with wrestling. But so during the day, I think WWF had their program. Uh, we lived in when I first started watching wrestling. Lived in Maysville, Georgia, and like I said, we had a couple of the Charlotte channels and Green, Greensville channels, and was able to watch NWA through that. So long-winded, 6:05 to be exact. WTBS 17 6:05 to 8:05 or 8 o'clock. Uh, Jim Crockett Promotions World Championship Wrestling. That was the name of the program. It was NWA Jim Crockett Promotions presents World Championship Wrestling. Then flip it over to WATL Channel 36. Then long story short, they got bought out by Fox. Then they had like Fox had like from 8 to 10 um, of programs when they fully took over. Then Superstars Wrestling would start at 10 o'clock to 3 in the morning, but then they switched over to WVEU Channel 69. But again, along with it. But anyway, turn to Channel 36, Superstars of Wrestling, and Bonnie Tyler's song, "Holding Out for a Hero," was the intro song for that program. And of course, that covered the territories, the Mid South UWF, NWA, AWA, Continental Championship Wrestling, um, CWA, Memphis Wrestling, Puerto Rico, World Class. Don't hopefully I didn't miss anything, but yeah. So it was, Bonnie Tyler's "Holding Out for a Hero" was an intro, and Joe Pensy in the background saying it's 8 o'clock and it's Saturday night in Atlanta. That means one thing: it's time for Superstars of Wrestling. Um, but yeah, she was the intro video. Also, I did mention in the original Footloose movie, uh, that song was played as the song when the Kevin Bacon's character and the one guy he was fighting with over a girl was playing chicken on the tractors. What else? I think one of her biggest hits was Total Eclipse of the Heart, which I remembered it today. Didn't even have to go back and sneak a look, but I think that was one of her biggest hits. I think she had a few more, but for me, it was "Holding Out for a Hero" because of that song. And I did mention last night as well that it was used in WCW one time when Sting was doing his Crow gimmick. He came, was brought down to the ring. Rey Mysterio Jr. jumped on him and he shoved him off. Then the announcer was like, "Oh, he shoved off Rey Mysterio, and he must be NWO." And Rey Mysterio the next week came out and said, "No, no, no, no. That was just a human reaction. I think Sting's fully with us. You can look at it. He was kind of fighting, almost fighting everybody, but he's fighting the NWO, guys too." And they played "Holding Out for a Hero" for that little segment as a Sting video. But rest in peace. Condolences go out to the family and friends of Bonnie Tyler. Let's see. But yeah, she now kind of like looking over here. Let's see. Well, I think she has a whole list of Let me let me get a cliff notes to her Wikipedia page. It's pretty long. Um. Okay, that didn't work either. So she um AM AMOA Jukebox Awards. It's a Heartache in 1978. She won the Country Record of the Year. So I guess she kind of dabbled in everything. I just kind of mainly knew her as a kind of a pop rock star or something like that. So didn't know she was into to the country too. So yeah, learn learn something new today on. Please know history of Bonnie Tyler. Okay, I wasn't gonna do the whole thing, dude. But hey, how you doing? But yeah, I was trying to go through awards, but there was no cliff notes to that, and she has a long, long fucking thing. So that'll be too much for me to read. But yeah, I did have like a list of how many nominations and stuff that had a and whatever. But yeah, oh don't worry, I wasn't gonna go through her whole history. My brief history of her, but that's about it. Um, but anyway, let's see. Go back to the notes here. And speaking of cliff notes, I did yeah, I mean I think she had a lot of more songs, but that's only for me personally, that's only two songs I know of. Total Eclipse of the Heart and uh and Holding Out for the Hero. Like I said, just kind of going. Like I said, Cliff Notes. Scroll down. I was saying, oh wow, she did country too, and did not know that. Did not know that. But anyway, let's see. Scroll. Oh, I need to scroll back up. So of course, like we always start out just about every episode of Wrestling Gold Friday Night, we got today in wrestling history. So let's get to that. Not too much to talk about today in history. Like I said, it was I did kind of a quick cliff notes on that. Um, but yeah. So not too much to get to on that one. So on this day in 1987, the Ultimate Warrior, then known as the Dingo Warrior, made his WWF television debut with a win over Frenchie Morton at a WWF Wrestling Challenge taping. Yeah, I know. I know you're being sarcastic. Yeah, like I said, when I was kind of going through there, it's like, whoa, I'm even reading. I was like, or not reading. I was like looking through. I was like, whoa, I'm just looking for the like uh Grammy Awards, this many, American Music Awards, this many. Not okay, going through every little thing and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, I don't know what AMOA is, but she won a best country song in 1978, and I didn't not know she did country. But a lot of those people kind of did that back in the day. All right, on this day in 1988, Jim Crockett Promotions presented Great American Bash 1988, The Price for Freedom in Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Let's see, dark match. Dick Murdoch and Rick Steiner defeated Kendall Windham and Tim Horner. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard defended their tag team championship against Nikita Koloff and Sting that ended up in a 20-minute Broadway. So the Horsemen members, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, got to keep the straps. The Midnight Express with Jim Cornette defeated the Fantastics for the NWA United States Tag Team Championship. In this match, Jim Cornette was put in a shark cage and lifted up. This was okay. I think we talked about this a couple months ago. I think it could have been. See, I can't remember what I did last week. I can't. I don't have a good timetable of things, but um, this match right here. Okay, this they call this the Tower Doom match. It was. Let's see. It was the Road Warriors, Steve Williams, Ron, and Jimmy Garvin defeating Al Perez, Ivan Koloff, Kevin Sullivan, Mike Rotundo, and the Russian Assassin with Gary Hart and Paul Jones. Basically, they was it three cages, elevated. World Class did this first. I forgot who was in that one off the top of my head, but same concept. And of course, they did this match in WCW back in the day. The Dungeon of Doom versus. Didn't they kind of do like a? See, this is what killed me when, especially the Hulk Hogan babyface WCW. I think it was just him and Savage against everybody in the Dungeon of Doom, which I hate. Just to make him, or at least make them two look like Superman. I do remember that one, and of course they redid it again, promoting a Ready to Rumble movie. That's what I need to do one night. We need to have a movie night for. I was thinking about that for this week, but this wasn't really prepared mentally. All right, but anyway, yes, the Road Warriors, Steve Williams, Ron, and Jimmy Garvin won in that match. Man, God, there's a lot of talent in this match. You had Al Perez, which this one he was definitely one of those uh, should have been uh, some sort of champion world or something like that. But oh my God, people shut up. Um, yeah, that's my weekly telling people quit messing me on the phone. But yeah, then Russian Assassins, I think was Jack Victory and the Angel of Death. Mike Rotundo, now Hall of Famer with Barry Windham as part of the U.S. Express. Speaking of Barry Windham, successfully defended his NWA United States Heavyweight Championship against Dusty Rhodes. Remember the finish of that one. Of course, Ron Garvin just did that, was a babyface a match before, and a Tower Doom match. And if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it. Might go back and watch it tonight. But anyway, I digress. Uh, uh, when finally did see it back a long time ago, long time ago, uh, when he came out of the match, I guess he was acting a little funny, whatever, just kind of blew past people. But in this match, he referee went down, of course. Uh, Garvin came out uh, and wound up giving him that knockout, giving Dusty the knockout punch, laid Dusty out, left the ring, and come to find out he was uh, he did turn heel, and Gary Hart paid him off, paid him a lot. I guess Gary Hart and J.J. Dillon paid him a lot of money. Only thing Barry Windham had to do was slap on that claw hold. Referee came in and counted the 3 count. But yeah, that was the match. Ron Garvin, who was a babyface for a long time, and Jim Crockett Promotions, um, turned heel, and he didn't stick around too long after that. Um, Probably maybe about maybe another month. I know he had some TV matches where he was a heel, because his thing was, take the towel and throw it to the fans and stuff like that. But no, he took the towel off and threw it to Gary Hart, being a heel and all that. But still wrestled the same way, demolished jobbers or enhancement talent. But yeah, I had a few TV matches and that was it. Wound up going to the AWA. I believe, yeah, AWA. Became the AWA International Television Champion, defeated Greg Gagne. Then Greg Gagne won it back. Then he went to the WWF, became a babyface again, and they called him Rugged Ronnie Garvin. Um, then after that, I guess, semi-retirement. I think his last, uh, I guess his last full-time gig was Smoky Mountain Wrestling when that first started. Speaking of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, that will be our watch along tonight. Smoky Mountain Wrestling from July 8th in 1995. Garvin was long gone from there, but I know he had a pretty good few and some good matches with Paul Orndorff, Battle of the Pile Drivers, because he was adopting the pile driver as his finishing maneuver. I guess I want to say when he was, of course, a little bit before my time, or I think I was still probably crapping my diapers, um, when Garvin worked for the Knoxville territory. That might have been his finishing maneuver. But he was a heel there at that time, but came back as babyface. But anyway, um, there we go. We got history of somebody, a brief history of somebody anyway. And of course, we had the main event. It was Ric Flair defending his NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Lex Luger. Wind up defeating Lex Luger by referee stoppage. Weird, kind of weird thing here, especially in '88. 88 and Jim Crockett. Well, I don't know. I think it was about the. I gotta pay attention to my timeline here. I was well. It's in my notes here. This said Jim Crockett Promotions. So maybe this was a little before Ted Turner bought it, because '88 was a year he bought it. But I guess they were kind of still finalizing the deal and everything. But anyway, Flair ran Luger's head into the post and wound up getting a little bit of color, not much. It's Lex Luger. He wasn't bleeding that much. Not the crimson mask or anything like that. Um, but he got cut a little bit, and next thing we know, we see the power slam and the Ric Flair in the torture rack. Then I guess it was Tommy Young, the referee, I guess, talking to some other little official down there, and next thing you know, the bell rings and Lex Luger celebrating like he won the world title, and it's like nope, nope, nope. Ric Flair wins because you started bleeding, and there's no blood in Baltimore sports or um, Baltimore TV, I guess, or wherever the case may be. The athletic commission stopped it because of bleeding or something, whatever it was. I guess there's at the time, or it could be still now. They don't never have boxing matches or anything like that in Baltimore, Maryland. But nevertheless, little bit of blood. The commissioner, the state commissioner or city commissioner, whatever you want to call it, had the match stopped, and because everybody was, well, I won't say everybody. There was no internet time, but uh, me and my group of friends who watched wrestling were like, all right, this is gonna be the one. Lex Luger's gonna win the world title this weekend, and blah blah blah, uh, and of course we didn't get the information until the following weekend. We've seen the footage on TBS or however you watch NWA at the time and NWA at the time, and saying, oh, he didn't win. Okay, so yeah, so this was okay. Bash was July, so yeah, it was a few months away from Turner officially purchasing it. I know it was sometime that year, but this was probably during that negotiation period. But anyway, regardless, I don't know if I they kind of call it a bogus call and stuff like that on TV. They didn't really get right into it, but they didn't shy away from Crockett Promotions, the NWA, and the rest of the wrestling world, except for the WWF. They didn't really shy away from blood at that time, not yet. Um, like I said, it was the 80s. Red equals green. Um, but WWF was the family product. It was aimed towards kids. So WWF didn't do the blading or getting color or anything like that. Not too much anyway. I think sometimes they people let it slip or something like that. I want to say Hulk Hogan again wasn't the full Christmas match. I think he got a little bit at WrestleMania 2. Like I said, not a lot, but a little bit during his cage match against King Kong Bundy, if I remember correctly. Like I said, it wasn't like full covered, crimson mask like you would see like, you know, Ric Flair in a cage match. Uh, and it was that big, bulky blue cage. But um, and if I remember correctly, supposedly the rumor was reason they went to that big bulky cage because it'll be easier for Hulk Hogan to climb up it and step over and climb down, all heroic and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, Ted Turner bought it in November. But yeah, that's probably won't say it was because of that, but I think NWA then when it turned WCW, I think they did shy away from it for a little bit. Didn't do it too much. Um, I know that I guess it was I can't remember. Was it the '92 War Games? Because I feel stupid now because I recently watched that, And I do see why. I mean, that was a good War Games match, and I think just about everybody got color in that match. Dustin, Barry, Arn a little bit. Sabisco didn't. Uh, Steamboat, I don't think Steamboat got. If he did, he got very little. Um, but Austin, I think he was covered. Um, I don't even think Rue got that much either. But yeah, yeah. The War Games '92. That had a lot of color in it. Like yeah, like I was just naming off. It was a Steen Squadron against the Dangerous Alliance, and that was a very good one. Even you take well, yeah, I guess even if you take the blood out, I don't know. I say yeah, it was still a good one. Yeah, and like I said, I recently watched that one, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely this way every war game should be, but it's kind of hard to do. And it was a good, I mean, it was a good war games match too. Oh yeah, so you had Sting, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, Steamboat, and Nikita, right, against the Dangerous Alliance, Rick Rude, Larry Zbyszko, Arn Anderson, um, Bobby Eaton, and Steve Austin. So yeah, that's especially at that time, who's who, all of them memorable names. Uh, even Nikita. I think people still somewhat remember Nikita. All right. Last but not least, on this date in 1998, WCW presented a show titled LA Melee at the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California. The main event saw Sting defeat Hollywood Hogan by submission in a steel cage match. The other co main event, Bill Goldberg made his first defense of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Kurt Hennig successfully too. Yeah, Medusa, Paul Heyman. I mean, of course, Dangerous Alliance. You had Paul Heyman. Um, but yeah, that's lot of talent in one match. I, I can't remember the full card, even though I just watched it not too long ago. But yeah, that was actually a pretty good show altogether. If I remember correctly, just kind of watching it. Even though I can't remember every match. Oh, it's Wrestle War '92. Da 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 da. And I mean, yeah. Now, yeah, I remember it. Uh, Brian Pillman and Tom Zink had a hell of a match. Steiner brothers at their uh, they wrestled a couple Japanese guys. Takayuki Iizuka and Tatsumi Fujinami. And I think it was Rick Steiner who just lit up. Is Lizuka? I think he did a little bit, but I don't remember him as fondly as I do say um, Masa Saito, Chono, Muda, uh, shoot, what's his name? Liger and all those guys. But yeah, I remember him, yeah, Brian Pillman and Tom Zink had a really good really good match. It was for the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship. Um, Flamingo and Mark Badwell pretty decent. Um, Hell, even the Freebirds versus Terry Taylor. Of course, this was Freebirds, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin against Terry Taylor and Greg Valentine. It was serviceable. I won't say it was a great, I won't give it 5 stars or anything, but it was okay. Um, but yeah, Rick Steiner, I guess blasted freaking that Lazuka guy and wound up having his eyes, swollen so bad it shut. But yeah, that was a pretty. If you like some stiff shit, I mean, I guess they was bringing that Japanese style to America, and it was for like the number one contenders for the determine who the number one contender would be for the IWGP Tag Team Championship. But that match was pretty hard hitting, pretty as JRs would say, smash mouth. But yeah, pretty decent show. All right. And that's all I got for today in wrestling history. Like I said, a little bit of a cliff notes on that one. Didn't really do full research like I probably should have. So I'll go ahead and apologize. Go ahead and apologize for that one. So anyway, going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll do our watch along of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from July 8th, 1995. Hey, that was the year I graduated high school. Yes, I am that old. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ronald Ray here, your boy with a cornbread accent. If you made it this far in the video, you're having fun. You folks know what to do. Everybody says this, so let's go through the whole routine. If you enjoy it, click on that like button. Also, leave me a comment. Give me your opinions on anything I talk about tonight. Ask questions, or just drop a friendly hello. That's always cool as well. Also, if you enjoy listening to a fan, just like you folks at home, talk about the sport of professional wrestling, be a champ, click on that subscribe button. Now, back to our program. Oops. Let's see. Joe King, before we watch the watch along, got a question? All right, ask away. I might have an answer. All right, so Bash 87. Let's see. Bash 80. Trying to remember that. All right. And that was that when they went to pay per view? Oh no, that was Bash 87 was the first War Games. I remember now. Yeah, 86 is when Dusty beat Flair. But yeah, Bash 87, the commercial tape. I think the first match they show on there is the very first War Games at the Omni in Atlanta. Oh, that's um. Why do they have? That's a good question. Does Steiner win? Um. Well, I think it's kind of that Western Heritage title was kind of weird, even though it was shown on Jim Crockett TV a lot. Uh, Later on, when they did have that title, when Steve Dr. Williams was the UWF champion, the Western Heritage title holder was the number one contender to the UWF championship. That's the reason you've seen Barry Windham versus Steve Williams at Starcade '87 for the UWF championship. Um, Still doesn't give it if it even though Barry wound up losing to Larry Zbyszko or losing that championship to Larry Zbyszko. Um, I guess on a Crockett card, but that's when I think that was after Crockett bought UWF. Um, or it's one of those it's a great question because I don't think I really have an answer for that unless it was just one of those booking deals where I think okay. I think if they was going to explain it on TV, they'll probably explain it on TV on this. Uh, uh, I think they would probably. I mean, did they even try to explain it on TV or on the tape? Because I guess if they was going to try and explain it, it was because Steiner was just a mainly a tag team wrestler at the time. I think him and Sting were just fresh off from being UWF tag team champions or about to be UWF tag team or maybe one half of WD or UWF tag team champions. So I guess if they was going to promote it like that, it's like okay, Steiner hasn't. I guess if you're going to explain it storyline mode, most of Steiner's matches were tag team matches, so he hasn't really became a contender to any singles championship yet. So therefore, this was a non-title match because he isn't a ranked. He wasn't a ranked singles wrestler yet at the time. If that makes sense. I mean, if you like I said, I'm just saying this if it's like storyline mode. Um, and yeah, Rick Steiner time this was before the Varsity Club, I think. Yeah, because UWF was still around, and he was still with Eddie Gilbert. Yeah, I guess he would be a former UWF Tag Team Champion at that point, because I think Sting had turned babyface around that time, or close to that time, and split away from Steiner and Gilbert. So yeah, I guess storyline mode. He was a tag team wrestler. Didn't have hasn't climbed up the ranks as a singles person yet. So therefore, why give him a shot at the championship? But if he did beat Barry Windham, then that he would be in line for a title shot. I guess that if they was going to explain it in a storyline mode, I would imagine that's how they would explain it in a storyline mode. Did I confuse you as much as I confused myself? Does that make sense? But yeah, he wasn't Rick Steiner at the time. This is Rick Steiner before the Varsity Club and all that good stuff. Yes, I did confuse you, or yes, my explanation made sense. Yeah, I mean, Rick Steiner did become a star, uh, but this was, like I said, that was before, he was still in the UWF with Eddie Gilbert. Then, when Crockett bought UWF, I think Eddie went to Memphis. He just left, went to Memphis. He's like, I ain't dealing with it. I'm not going to be the main booker. It's going to be Dusty and politics at the time, I guess. So Eddie went to Memphis. Um, Rick stayed, or Rick got signed on by Crockett. They put him with Kevin Solo and Mike Rotundo, the Varsity Club, and then Rick did uh, I guess the gimmick, the childlike gimmick or whatever. Um, and that the fans, thanks to that gimmick, turn him into the baby face, and which, now how do you explain that, since he was kind of just there as a tag team wrestler, but technically he was Barry Mike Rotundo gave him the Florida Heavyweight Championship when he won the television championship. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, at that time, freaking Steiner was jacked. I mean, he was always big, but by that time he was like lean and ripped, almost like Scott would be. Well, not like Scott, the big pump Scott Steiner, but well, God, Barry was a good baby face. He knew how to sell and make sure the heel got enough heat, and I'm pretty sure Barry was calling that match too. Um, but Barry would sell and make sure Rick got the heat and stuff like that, and give the well, not the monster comeback, but the Ricky Mortonish comeback. It's been a long time since I've seen that commercial tape. It's been a long, long time. I think. Well, to be honest, I think I only watched it once, and that was probably like um whenever it came on VHS rent at the video store. I know. I think there was a weekend. I stayed with my brother and his wife at the time, and we went to the video store and got Bash '87 and got to watch it. So that was probably the first and only time I actually watched it. I've watched the first War Games a few times, but yeah, but Barry was a good babyface wrestler. I mean, he definitely know how to do the sell, and the white meat babyface comeback. Even though he was like what, 6'6". uh, not as, okay, not as physically. He was tall, but not like physically built like Rick Steiner. Good gosh, that dude was. I mean, who? I mean, the real story, what him and Steve Williams like tore the door, tore the doors off a car to save a couple people. A couple people wrecked the car or something like that, and it was about to catch on fire, or it was catching on fire, and Steve Williams and Rick Steiner went down there and ripped the doors off and pulled the people out. Yes, they were that strong. The old well, the Pendergrass Flea Market is still there, but I don't think it's called a Pendergrass Flea Market. It's some kind of a Latino name, I think now. Well, I'm trying to think. It's been a while since it's been a while since I've been up 85 North that way. Yeah, it's been a while for that, so I I want to say the Pendergrass Flea Market sign is still on the side of 85 or advertised at 85 or northbound at least, but I don't think it's southbound anymore. Yeah, 'cause uh Michael's had the pro wrestling store. Was wanting to go back and kind of pick up a few things, but we never did make it back there. But at the time we went, we kind of like left there knowing, hey, if you want if you want to buy a soccer ball or some soccer shoes or any kind of soccer equipment, that's the place to go to. It was that, and it was probably around, well, probably a little bit, probably a year or two before that, before Gwinnett Place Mall really went to. Um, if you want any kind of soccer equipment, Gwinnett Place Mall was a place to go to. I say, gosh, 15 years ago, maybe close to 20 years ago, probably closer to 20 years ago. Uh, Pendergrass Flea Market and Gwinnett Place Mall took care of all your soccer needs. I mean, it was like even before Atlanta had their own MLS team, but the Latino population was, definitely big in that area, or was at least growing in that area. But yeah, Pendergrass Flea Market. Damn, heck, I haven't been to a dirt mall since Chocolate, or whatever it's called. And um, trying to think. Yeah, I right. Y'all haven't since Saturday. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been a while since I've been to a good old dirt mall. But then again, I've heard dirt malls got to the point where you can't really find good deals. But oh, so yeah, the last time or the time before last, when I jotted down a couple of old VHS staples. Uh, one of them being Lords of the Rings. Um, uh, I don't. I found one, but it wasn't the I found it on YouTube, but I don't think it's the full Lord Lords of the Rings. And I didn't really look for Battle of the Monster Trucks either, so I got to look for Battle of the Monster Trucks. But you know what I did find? Some reason it popped up as a suggestion. Um, it was Harlem Globetrotters games or Harlem Globetrotters games. They were pretty hilarious. The one in Diller, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've especially after the pandemic, I've just if I ain't busy with work, I've got myself busy with other shit. And like I said yesterday, next 2 weekends gonna be really busy too, cause um I got I gotta work the next 2 Saturdays. So, oh, is it just an hour? Okay. So I probably did find a full one. It's just very much cut up and edited. All right. Speaking of hour, it's not a full hour, but tonight's watch along is Smoky Mountain Wrestling from July 8th, 1995, the year I graduated high school. Let's see, the year I graduated high school, and it was a year that I started. I was, yeah, I was probably a 1 year. I was probably in my first month working where I still do now, 31 years later. So yes, I need my boss. If you're watching, really ready to retire. But anyway, we'll get this thing started here. So let me press the right buttons here because, like I said, I got tons of messages. Why they do this to me, I don't know. So, da, 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 da. All right, so you ready? I am ready. Gonna count it down here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now. So yeah, this is not the original Smoky Mountain Wrestling intro song. It was some little generic thing, but this song definitely sounds like Jimmy Hart wrote it. But so yes, notice that very impressive drop kick by Brad Armstrong, probably the best drop kick thrower ever in wrestling. Did not slap the thighs hitting a drop kick. and that's Kenny Bolin. I think he does his own uh, podcast and all that good stuff now. Was I guess a longtime friend of Jim Cornette's, but they had a falling out. And of course, there's a legendary rest in peace, Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis. Ooh, yeah, rest in peace, Buddy Landell, and rest in peace, Brian Armstrong or Brad Armstrong, all in one match. Rest in peace, Tracy Smothers. And picture perfect Russian leg sweep too. It's hits it then floats on over. I mean, a thing of beauty. Kind of like Barry, you was talking about. Yeah, rest in peace, Mark. Yeah, that whole match right there was a Mark Curtis, Brad Armstrong, Tracy Smothers, and Buddy Landell. See, that's what Hill does. They give their own uh, viewpoint of what they did in the match. That's perfect Hill stuff right there. And back in the Knoxville, the original Knoxville Territories day, Bob Armstrong was one of the big stars. I mean, this is the Knoxville Territory where Ron Fuller owned it, and Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden, all those folks. It was the original Southeastern Championship Wrestling before they started. I think started another. It was the same territory and stuff like that, but it was like a extension in the Pensacola area. But they still had. I think if I remember wrong, Fuller's podcast, it was like an A, B, whatever. When he basically had two territories, both called Southeastern, but um, they each had different talent. But yeah, Bob Armstrong was a huge star. So Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers, um, I thought they were a decent tag team. Oh, Uptown D'Lo Brown, and of course this is before he did a head shaking thing. Trying to think. This might be after the Gangstas. Were the Gangstas in ECW at this time? So yeah, the Gangstas, New Jack Mustafa Ali or Mustafa Saeed, was just got into ECW, and I guess they left D'Lo behind. Poor D'Lo. So Tracy Smothers, supposedly he was a like a legitimate. Uh, I won't say probably like Steve Williams, but kind of guy that if you was in a bar fight, you would want him by your side. Dang. And I'm not sure how much D'Lo weighed at that time, but that was pretty impressive. D'Lo showing he can move around, and we knew how good D'Lo became. D'Lo was pretty good, as well as Tony Anthony, the Dirty White Boy. I mean, he was a Tony Anthony wasn't going to give you a 5-star match. He was a good brawler. But yeah, this is before poor. Okay, so yeah, oh yeah, they had just left Smoky Mountain. I mean, they were 6 days or 7 days removed from Smoky Mountain. Oh, Randy Health. Nah, I've actually listened to Randy Hales' or watched a couple, about 2 or 3 of his streams, and they were actually pretty good. If you like him and uh Mark St. John, I think that was his name, one of the announcers at USWA. He's sometimes on there. He's pretty good. Uh-oh, and it's breaking down. And that was actually let's see, the Southern Boys or Young Pistols. Prefer to call them the Southern Boys. Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. That was one of their finishing maneuvers. I think they call it the Georgia Georgia. Well, It was like that one, and they pretty much the same thing. It's different though. But Smothers will hold the opponent, then Steve Armstrong came up with a top rope drop kick. Les Thatcher. He was a decent play by play play by play announcer, commentator. There we go. Yeah, I guess that was about to start the USWA Smoky Mountain feud. T's for tough, H for hell, U's for ugly, and G and G is for jail because a thug can't spell. Come on, that was entertaining, folks. You got man, that was pretty funny. That wanted me to Buddy Landell. Chris, interesting. I didn't know at least Chris Benoit didn't. I didn't know he at least wrestled in a Mountain Wrestling show. Yes, this is Bull Buchanan, father of uh, what's his name? I forgot his WWE name. Brooks Jensen. He also has another son that wrestles now, Zach Buchanan, who's been wrestling in the Southeast. Yes, Ben Buchanan, but wrestles in the I guess WWE. I guess he's on the Evolve brand now. But Bull man, he was a big agile dude, and first time I think I seen Bull Buchanan, he was a Sunset. This is crazy. Uh, Dude wrestled in a mask, but still called himself Sunset Sam. Gave him like himself a real name, but some reason he was wrestling in a mask. It could be that one time I seen the show. I think it was like North Georgia Wrestling Alliance or something like that. And here we go. Late great Terry Gordy. And this doesn't look uh this don't look right. But yeah, that's Boo Bradley, who went on to become um Balls Mahoney. I had to sit there and dig deep in that memory box there. So this is when he was in Smoky Mountain, kind of I guess getting his after the Jersey independence, I guess. Yeah, I remember that was called just the Bam Bam Slam, but they finally gave it an official name, the Power Bomb. Oh no! But yeah, Boo Bradley was like a childlike, goofy character. And oh, they tore up his teddy bear. It's like, God dang, ain't throwing my son around. And let's see, is let's see, Steve or Scott was the oldest, then Brad, then Steve, then Road Dog. And you definitely tell. I mean, it was really cool at this time to see Brad Armstrong get a push somewhere. Yeah, it's Brooks Jensen is the name he goes by in WWE. It's Jim Cornette, so of course he has a lot to talk about. But speaking of Jim Cornette, I didn't know till a few years ago that usually it's the promoter who picks the entrance music to everybody. It's not the wrestler who picks it out. Uh, so Jim Cornette is a huge classic rock fan, and I'm starting to think he's a huge Kiss fan too, because I know when Unabomber first debuted, he came out to Kiss's Unholy, and you just seeing the Punisher come out, Bull Buchanan, and he came out to Kiss's God of Thunder. Now I'm not sure how he picked the Gangsters Smoky Mountain Wrestling entrance music. Not sure what song they came out to. Now Jim Cornette actually talked in this interview that when he first started Smoky Mountain Wrestling, one of the people he wanted to bring to Smoky Mountain to push as a baby like one of the top faces was Brad Armstrong, but at the time Brad Armstrong had a contract with NWA, WCW, wherever you want, or yeah, oh it's WCW at the time. My bad. But anyway, I mean, gosh, I mean, if he didn't have his quirks, ain't no telling how far Buddy could have. I mean, Duke can work. Duke could cut a promo. Um, maybe if he didn't have his quirks and kept himself in better shape, God dang it, there ain't no telling how far he could have went. But yeah, he's giving a little promo. It's textbook babyface promo, and um, I won't say being fair, but giving points to talk about. Um, but it's a just a basic textbook babyface promo talking about a little history and that why he's there. But but supposedly in the back he was. If you watch some shooting reviews and they talk about Brad Armstrong, not only they talk about how good he was in the ring, they talk about how hilarious he was in the back, uh, but when they wanted the that Brad Armstrong to be that same Brad Armstrong in front of the camera, for some reason he just couldn't do it. I guess how can I say this? I don't know if this is what he was kind of when the red. I think he kind of said it too when that red light come on, the time to do a promo, he kind of froze a little bit. He didn't have to give the gab like his brother Road Dogg or even his dad, Bob Armstrong. And I think Jim Cornette said it best one time. It's like Bob, he had the the build, the look, the working ability, and knew how to talk. At the time, when he was popular. Um, but Brad was the in ring talent. Steve was the big one. Scott had a little more business sense, and Road Dogg, of course, he had a gift for gab. Oh, Killer Kyle, Mark Kyle. No, not that's not Mark Kyle. Was it? Oh, yes, it does sound like a solid card. And I forgot when when did so actually yeah Smoky Mountain Wrestling was actually shut down in December of 1995. So at this point in all of professional wrestling, the whole business was. I mean, he still was had the lingering of the WWF scandals at the time. So I mean, WWF was down, WCW was down. ECW just had that thing about them that it was different. I think the best way to describe it was using some. I think Raven actually said it's like, or maybe Conan or somebody else said it's like before '92, you had the pop metal, hair metal bands and stuff like that, and it was kind of get a little cookie cutter. So, uh, even though they weren't definitely weren't my favorite bands, but music kind of needed something a little different, and that's when Nirvana and that Seattle grunge sound. But thanks to that, uh, Metallica did start getting popular, before Nirvana, but Metallica was just different. Um, but but you got great bands like Alice in Chains and bands like that came out of that. But anyway, so that's what basically ECW was. It was Nirvana, uh, and everybody else was the cookie cutter stuff. And let's call a spade too. I don't think even at this time the mountains of Tennessee, Knoxville, and all that, especially I mean even USWA's business was and Memphis was down. Um, but 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 like I said, probably Knoxville around the Tennessee mountains stuff like that. Probably not the best place to have a territory even at this point. But ECW is based in Philadelphia, so they wrestle a lot around Pennsylvania and uh, parts, a little more better populated areas. Oh, it's smooth. And actually, I've definitely mentioned this before. I got the opportunity to meet Brad Armstrong. He signed my shooting review and everything. Dude sounded like a pretty cool guy. I say him and Bobby Eaton and believe it or not, even Ole Anderson was pretty cool to meet. Yeah, somebody at this point somebody didn't adjust their tracking in their VCR. Or they really wore this tape out when they when they had it. But Les Thatcher, he was I don't think he was a major, but he was a name in the Knoxville territories as a wrestler, and um, also I think he was a booker and a commentator and all that. Actually trained. He ran a Heartland Wrestling that used to be a developmental territory. Um, not sh- But yeah, he's still I'm not sure if he's still doing the training sessions or anything like that. Oh, Wolfman and Lee Thomas. Freaking Al Snow. And yes, Unabomb, in case you didn't know, is Glenn Jacobs, aka Isaac Yankum, aka Fake Diesel, aka Kane. That's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be Kane. But right now he's Unabomb. Oh, rock and roll putting a little switcheroo here. Freaking Unabomb was, or Glenn Jacobs was ripped at this point. What the hell? So when do Ricky and Robert become luchadors? Only thing missing here is some suicide dives and some plunges. We got the hurricanranas and the spinning head scissors and everything else. Was Ricky just trying to do a moonsault? Good gosh! Like I said, when the Rock Roll Express decided to be luchadors. Oh, it's breaking down in Tulsa already. So yeah, I would say I would say Smoky Mountain. I mean, it's a good little promotion. I mean, the stuff I've seen on them, and like I said, we've seen that Super Bowl card or whatever. It's a pretty solid card and all that. And yes, this is definitely in the dying days. I mean, like I said, even in WWF, they weren't drawing shit. It was probably another year, I guess, when things were starting to take off a little bit. Um, the start of the Monday Night Wars. Let's see. I only think. Let's see. Monday Nitro. Well, yeah. I mean, uh, Monday Nitro didn't launch until September 4th in 1995. You had Raw there, or Raw was going on, but I mean, you seen what they were wrestling at. They was wrestling at the small Manhattan Center. Uh, WCW debuted at a shopping mall. Um, then they went on. I mean, they quickly went to different arenas. The first Nitro I seen was New Year's Day of '96, I believe, and that was of course, at the Omni, at the Omni in Atlanta. Um, but uh, it it wasn't. It was starting, but it didn't really pick up. But then eventually it took a little bit to start picking up, and now people start watching Nitro, then Raw, then of course I say the big thing that really kind of made everything explode was the whole NWO thing, and people switching different shows, and then you know WWF had to act quickly. They were you know then of course Steve Austin, Stone Cold, that thing went off, and now you got real competition, and that's how the Monday Night Wars really started heating up. You had the NWO over here, you had Steve Austin raising hell on WWF. So uh, I remember during that time you sit, record one, watch one, then of course Nitro had the repeat after it went off, so you wound up recording Raw and Nitro. Got to watch both. Yes, we weren't that tribal at that time. Uh, I mean, you had times where people would watch Nitro more, and they 84 weeks, consecutively. Uh, Nitro beat Raw, but yeah, I mean, so maybe if Smoky Mountain could have just held on a little longer, but I guess I guess when the Fed at the time, I mean, they were still the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, or in the United States at least at the time. So it's like, well, once you come up here, you can bring that dirty white boy, and we'll turn him to a plumber, and bring a bring up a bring up a Tracy Smothers, and we call him Freddie Joe Floyd. Bring yourself up, you'll manage Yokozuna and Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith. Then he wound up being part of creative at a time. Then he wound up I guess buying a piece of Ohio Valley Wrestling, and that was the first developmental territory for this is for uh, the Deep South, and this for the developmental territory Deep South Wrestling, not the original Deep South Wrestling back in the 80s. This is 2000 something, but before Florida, they wound up cutting ties with OVW, and cutting ties with Jody Hamilton, and Deep South, and just started Florida Championship Wrestling that became NXT. They built this, the big performance center and all that, but but yeah, Jim Cornette ran the Ohio Valley Wrestling, WWE developmental territory, and Louisville, Kentucky. But yeah, so yeah, if maybe if I mean, I'll imagine because they were losing money and um, you see the crowds was dropping at that time, before they went, got started. Um, and again, they Jim Cornette brought Chris Candido and uh, Tammy Sytch, and of course when they started getting a little buzz about them, Vince took them and turned them into Bayou Donnas, and rest is history about them two. But like that's just the way they kind of always play. Even WCW did the same thing. Um, they did a talent purge. Signing talent to bigger money than what Paul Heyman. I mean, WWF did the same thing. Uh, but I think WWE compensated. It's been proven now that uh, Vince compensated Paul Heyman. It's like, hey, I'm about to take this talent. You can't pay him, well, I can pay him, or her. So here, I'll compensate you a little bit, and uh, but WCW did not. I think there was that. Well, Paulie had heat with hated WCW since he worked there, even with Bill Watts and all that. But he had a didn't have a good parting of ways with WCW, so I think that was his thing. He I don't know if it's just Vince did just the olive branch. Okay, I'm gonna take this talent. I like him. I'm bringing them up, but I'll compensate you. I think they said case in point with Two Cold Scorpio. Brung him in, changing the Flash Funk, but hey, compensated Paul Heyman that way, and WCW just went in and it's like, yeah, come on up, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero. Without, I mean, I think Kevin Sullivan was at least nice enough to tell Paul Heyman that, yeah, you're about to lose Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko, and then Chris Jericho. But they was able to still survive. They still had talent. They would actually go and try to develop younger talent. Paul knew he couldn't pay people what WCW at the time or WWF could pay talent, but uh, did find ways to kind of keep talent as long as he could, and of course then the money thing happened. Couldn't uh, the bounce checks and stuff like that, but um, I think they wound up. Uh, was it 2000? I think 2001 when ECW finally. So yeah, 2001. So they were able to last at least 6 more years. Um, and of course, everybody knows the WCW deal. I mean, as soon as AOL Time Warner got a hold of it, because they didn't. I mean, they did not want wrestling on their TV. I mean, even when Turner owned it, the stories I've heard, only person who wanted wrestling on Turner Broadcasting was Ted Turner, because he. I mean, we talked about this when the passing of Ted Turner happened. It's like uh, wrestling always wrestling always drew great ratings for his stations, and that's why he was faithful to it. That's why when uh, it was either Ted Turner buying it or Jim Crockett going under, um, which uh, let's see, what 88. in 2000. I mean, it lasted a little bit, a little bit or a lot longer, but um, then the inevitable happened. WWF pretty much took over everything. And this is why I was like, when TNA came out, I was like, okay, they got good talent. Let's, and people crapped on it from day one, but I'm like, God dang. Um, and of course, we fully know now what a idiot Dixie Carter was, but that's aside the point. Um, but the when the money runs dry, it runs dry, and um, really nothing you do about it. And when it's bad enough you got one getting all your talent. When you got two big promotions, two deep pockets at the time, getting all the talent, then um, it doesn't do too much good. I mean, I guess if WC, I think there was a time when Bill Watts was vice president or wherever he was with WCW. They had an agreement because Bill Watts is the one to put Dennis, Condrey, Bobby Eaton, and Jim Cornette together in Mid South as a Midnight Express. So they've had dealings. So when Smoky Mountain was there, and they were like, "Hey, let's do like the good old day, used to the territory days, kind of trade talent, whatever, or kind of use it like a feeder, development." I think the idea that Bill and Jim Cornette had was Smoky Mountain to be a kind of a developmental territory for WCW, but I guess when you don't really um, you don't understand that part of talent. We're seeing now, I think, more than ever that it you can't just have like a performance center and young talent that's working in front of the same people. I think we're seeing right now the importance of, hey, you gotta have the reps in the ring. You gotta have uh, especially when young wrestlers, um, they gotta be out live crowds, different crowds too, not the same one where um, mom, pop, grandpa, grandma, cousin, aunt, uncle, second cousin, third cousin, fifth remove, whatever, coming to your show is you gotta go around kind of work in front of different people. Uh, that way you kind of like learn to. Uh, I'm not trying to sound like an expert, but this seems to me that once you learn to work around different people, that you kind of develop a sense of how to kind of read the room, read the crowd, and finally, uh, and just call things in the ring. Don't plan out. Okay, move number one, walk around the ring. Move number two, lock up. Move number three, headlock. Shoot you in the ropes. Tackle number five, and that stuff. They got. I mean, even the ones who are the main roster, it seems to me that they'll probably do better, working around different crowds and stuff like that. Learn to read the crowds and um, learn to call stuff in the ring and all that all that good stuff, and learn not to just do crazy stuff, just do crazy stuff as well. But that's just my opinion. That's my soapbox. But so yeah, that's a big what if question. Now you kind of like look at things now. It's like, what if Smoky Mountain just became a developmental farm system to WCW, and um, they was able to give them money to keep them going until 95 came, end of 95, 96. Okay, the big two promotions are once the WWF product gets better, that trickles down and all of wrestling gets better. When they kind of trickle down, or when they start slowing down, that kind of affects everything too. I mean, how many years now were all these, whatever WrestleMania is at that time? I mean, they're talking about, WrestleMania being, I think, next year in Saudi Arabia, and a lot of these, wherever WrestleMania would be in the States, you got your local promotions, running shows that weekend and trying to feed off that WrestleMania energy. And I say mid to like Ring of Honor would always run shows WrestleMania weekend in whatever town they were in, just to get some of that wrestling buzz to their end and do good. So I mean, so that's how important. I hate to say it, but it's a fact. It's like, uh, if WWE or WWF or WWE is going good, everything else could be going good. Sometimes it needs a little spark. And I still say, maybe if they could have found like a different station, and I think WCW had buyers ready to buy the thing. I guess whoever the buyers would have been didn't want to try to find TV as well. But it is what it is. But anyway, I think I'm going to call it a night. Appreciate everybody tuning in, all those people who tune in on the replay. Appreciate you too. Don't forget to leave a comment, share some memories and all that good stuff. Give me your thoughts. How much longer would Smoky Mountain could it last? If it was a feeder system for WCW or any of these promotions that wind up between 95. You got Smoky Mountain, USWA, and this Memphis wrestling period. Between 95 and 2001, they were all gone. All gone. I mean, that's 6 years. Within, 2001. If my math is right. Yeah, 6 years. Within 6 years, all those promotions were done. Even ECW, WCW, who's owned by $1 billion AOL Time Warner. But that's because they didn't want wrestling on their TV, though. I mean, if they just kept wrestling on their TV, let somebody else buy it, and and they could have charged however TV deals worked at that time. But those people just didn't want wrestling on their network, and guess what? Now they do. But now that AEW, I've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about it again. With I think later on this year it becomes a signed, sealed, delivered thing. Paramount Plus will own WB Discovery, Warner Bros. Discovery, that owns Turner Broadcasting, TBS, Cartoon Network, TCM, I think, as well, and TNT, and part of AEW. So it'll be interesting what happens to that. But anyway, give me your thoughts. Other than that, you folks have a good one. Take it easy. Everybody have a good weekend. And until next time, I appreciate it. Thanks for saying it's a good show. But yeah. Anyway, everybody take it easy. Have a good one. And until next time.
So long from the peach state of Georgia.
Ronald Ray here saying thank you for checking out my video. If you don't mind, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, leave a comment, and share this video with family and friends. I would also appreciate it if you would subscribe to RP2 Vision, where I cover the sport of professional wrestling from yesterday to today. Now, don't forget to click the notification bell as well, so you'll be notified when my other weekly content is available, like Wrestling Trivia Tuesday, WWE Raw Recap, and AEW Dynamite Recap. I also have 2 live streams. Every Thursday at 8 p.m., it's Spot Show Live Stream, where I discuss the latest news in professional wrestling. And on Friday nights at 8 o'clock p.m., it's Wrestling Gold Friday Night, where I discuss the good old days of professional wrestling. When wrestling was wrestling, wrestling was real because it's still real to us. Folks, have a good one and take it easy.